Pricing myself has always been a challenge for me, and I know I'm not alone. In fact, I feel like this topic has come up a lot recently in conversations with other entrepreneurs, and just last week, I had to take a couple sick days, which prompted a quick video on how to prepare for and price in sick days into your business. You can watch that here, but there's a lot more to dig into on the topic of pricing, so I thought I would dedicate at least 2 or 3 videos to discuss the different aspects of pricing for freelancers and small business owners. Pricing involves a bit of math, a bit of understanding the market, and a little bit of magic. But today I want to focus up here and crunch some cold hard numbers. You don't want to go into this guessing. Take time to figure out how much you need to keep yourself and your family alive. At a minimum, far too few freelancers are doing even that and have found themselves stuck in a price pit. This is what happens, and I know because it's happened to me. Early on, your side gig is just extra on top of what you're already making from another full-time or part-time job. Because it's not our main lifeline, it's just something to help pad the Christmas gift budget or take the sting out of a car repair bill. We don't treat it as seriously as if it were real income. Because we don't have a lot of experience running a business like this, we don't believe we're worth as much as someone who's more established. Because our first clients are typically personal connections, friends and family members, we feel more like we're exchanging favors and actually doing business, and we hesitate to charge them anything at all. And because growing a side gig is a slow burn, we might not even be thinking about growing it proactively for a while. We get stuck in these pricing patterns, and it begins to take root in our minds that this is actually our proper rate. We get stuck in a price pit. And we haven't even done the math to figure out if we can sustain ourselves at this rate. Again, we're not sustaining ourselves yet. It is just a side gig. But let's pretend it's more than that. Imagine this is your main source of income. Imagine you get an email from your employer tomorrow and you find out that now your side gig is all you have. Is it enough? Or a happier scenario, if you have any ambitions of growing your side gig into your central gig, how much money do you need to make in order for that to work? Let's find out. Now, there's a lot of great budgeting templates available, but just about all of them start with income and then show you how much you have left to divvy up amongst your expenses. So I made my own version that starts with your expenses and then helps give you an idea of how much income you'll need to generate to support your lifestyle. And you are welcome to use this. Just click the link in the description and then go to File, Make a Copy, and you can save your own copy of this and plug in your own numbers. Now, I try to be as thorough as possible without making it crazy detailed. Feel free to add or edit the different line items to fit your specific situation, but this is what we're going to do. You want to list all of your monthly expenses. I went ahead and gave you some starting points. I split this up into different subcategories. So we have debt. If you have student loan payments you're making, you can plug that in there. Housing costs, your rent, your mortgage, insurance, water, sewer, electricity, oil, gas, other utilities, food and basics. This is groceries, not dining out. There's another line item for that a little bit further down. Toiletries, clothing, basics. Again, basics, not like, let's go shopping for fancy stuff.
Velvet slippies, cashmere socks, velvet pants, cashmere turtle. I'm a cashmere velvet candy cane.
And then health-related expenses, auto expenses, phone, and internet. I bundled all of these up as necessary expenses, and down here I have some negotiable expenses. I'll show you what I do with those 2 different categories a little bit later on. But here we have expenses for childcare, pets, entertainment. This is where you can plug in dining out and your extra fancy clothes shopping and other entertainment related, and gifts and giving. If you make payments annually or quarterly for anything, or bi-weekly for that matter, do a little bit of math and figure out the average monthly payment. Plug that all in. And then we have a section for savings. So if you're saving towards an emergency fund, retirement contributions, plug those in here. Vacation, home. This could be for repairs and improvements on a current house, or saving for a down payment if you want to buy a house. Same thing for your car savings. Whatever your goals are, have at it. This is just a starting point. Then there's a little bit more information to plug into. Do you have a spouse or partner who helps bring home some bacon? You can plug in their monthly income right here. And then we have taxes. Yeah, this part isn't fun. We're working our way up from the bottom line to the top. So up till now, we've been figuring out how much money you need to have left over after taxes and business expenses in order to have enough to cover your cost of living and savings goals. So we need to add enough margin to this number to account for the taxes we'll have to pay on our net business revenue. So I threw in 30% as a conservative starting point. You can tweak this based on your understanding of your actual tax liability. I figured for this exercise, you should overestimate rather than underestimate. Speaking of taxes, you really don't want to find yourself in a position where you don't have enough set aside to cover your tax bill. That's something the sponsor of today's video can help with. Relay is my favorite business banking platform. There are no monthly fees, there's no minimum starting deposit, no minimum balance requirement. You can easily open and manage multiple accounts so you can, say, have a dedicated space to save money for taxes. And you can use their auto transfer feature to automatically divvy out a percentage of your income into your tax account on a set schedule. Or for that matter, set a whole cash management system on autopilot, like the Profit First method. You can learn more about Relay by checking out my deep dive video review, which I'll link right here and in the description. And if you open and fund a new Relay account using my link, sidekick.show/relay, you'll get a little sign-up bonus. And you'll help support the channel so I can continue to make more helpful content and tools for entrepreneurs, like this sweet freelance rate calculator that we need to finish working through now. So we set our tax rate. We'll come back to these items a little bit later. Let's move over to our business expenses now, because you gotta spend money to make money, right? Seriously though, don't forget to factor in costs associated with running your business. If you're still in side gig mode and you're currently not paying for something like business insurance, try to anticipate what you will be spending money on in the future to make sure you're factoring that in and you're going to cover those expenses in these calculations. Now, back over here, how much time are you going to work? Plug in the maximum number of days per month you are willing to work and the maximum number of hours per day you're willing to work. And then I also have a line for your ideal days per month and ideal hours per work, because we're going to actually create a range here. This is going to be a little bit more of an aspirational goal. Now, if I did all the formulations and spread my sheets correctly, the calculator should give you a few numbers. You'll have your total need, your day rate, and your hourly rate for 3 different scenarios: survival mode, comfortable, and dream life. Survival mode is the bare minimum rate your business needs to pay you if you work the maximum number of hours and you factor in your partner's income. Also, it will cover 100% of your necessary personal expenses and business expenses, but only 50% of your negotiable expenses and savings goals. That's why I split those out into different categories. In this scenario, you're surviving, but not necessarily thriving. So in this case, based on our test numbers, our total need, factoring in our partner's income contribution and the fact that we're only going to be covering 50% of our savings and negotiable expenses, we need to make $4,442.25. That comes down to a $200 roughly day rate and roughly a $25 an hour rate. If this is the rate you're going off of, you'll need to make some adjustments to your spending to avoid going completely broke. The comfortable rate shows what you need to earn to cover 100% of all listed expenses, necessary and negotiable. It factors in your partner's income and is calculated using the maximum number of working days and hours, but I secretly added in some flexibility and PTO. This formula subtracts an hour each day and a couple days each month, just in case you want to take a long lunch break or otherwise spend some time on unbillable activities, or if you need to take a couple sick days like I did last week. Comfortable living with reasonable hours. Our comfortable rate is $5,524. That is a $276 day rate, and closing in on a $40 an hour rate. Finally, you have your dream life rate, or at least a slightly more aspirational life rate. This covers 125% of your budget. I just kind of ticked everything up from where you have it now. Your partner does not need to work, and you can work fewer hours. This rate uses the ideal days and hours you defined in the calculator. That is a $550 a day rate and over $100 an hour. So we have quite a range now, from 20 odd to over $100 an hour. But now you should start to have a clearer idea of what you need in order to support your lifestyle at different levels. But there's one big problem with these numbers. This only shows you how much you need to make as an individual, not necessarily how much your business will actually make. When you work for an employer, you show up for work, put in the hours, and typically you're guaranteed you'll be paid a set amount for the hours you work. But when you work for yourself, when you're the business, you only get paid if a customer buys something from you. In other words, you can't pay yourself if your business isn't making money. Let's take a closer look at your comfortable rate. Assuming you work X number of hours for Y number of days each month, this is the average amount of money you need to generate per hour in order to meet all your financial commitments. But is your business actually bringing in $40 every 60 minutes? Some days, your business might not make any money, which means you'll need to make twice as much money the next day. Another way to think of this is if you're a service provider, say a designer, you can actively work 40 hours a week, but 20 hours of that time might be internal work, creating marketing content, reaching out to prospects, writing proposals, performing administrative tasks, investing in professional development, doing real work that's crucial to keeping your business running, but you might only have 20 hours of paid client work. This calculator gives you your internal rate that your business needs to pay you, but to make sure your business has the cash on hand to accommodate the irregularities and unpredictabilities in actual revenue, your customers need to pay your business a different rate. In this case, twice as much or more. So we just finished step one. We figured out how much you need to make to survive and thrive. Now let's talk about how much you need to charge your customers. And we'll cover that in the next video, which you can watch right here when I get it up next week. If you're watching this before then, I'll put a funny cat video or something else up here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.